With that entrepreneurial, upbringing, you started your first business pretty early.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
How old were you? What grade?
I was 7th grade when I started my first official.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Love Your Brand podcast. If you're looking for real conversations with real people, you're the right place. Let's go!
Let's go, everybody. Welcome to the Love Your Brand show. I'm your host, Jason W. Ramsey.
W.
Right? Not Jason Alexander, but Jason W. Ramsey.
I'm Jonathan W. Hill.
This is powered by Talent Alexander, your creative and marketing firm. Welcome, Miss Eden Oates. She's a 19-year-old entrepreneur and business owner. Yes, I did say 19.
Heck yeah.
She is the founder of Exclusively Eden and designed the Closet Confidence System to uplevel your confidence and create a style that finally screams you, ladies and gentlemen, while aligning with the message of your personal brand. Eden, welcome to the Love Your Brand podcast.
Thank you, Jason. I'm so happy to be here.
So good to have you, Eden.
Yeah.
So good.
I have the luxury. I've known Eden for a long time when she was a little smaller, and watching her grow, into like an entrepreneur. I mean, that's what we talk about at such a young age. It's unreal to watch that transformation. So we're excited to chat with you today and just hear more of your whole story, what you got going on. Because you have your hand in quite a few things.
I do. It's all of it, but I feel like that's the best part about being young is just taking the next opportunity that you get there, and I'm all right with a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you doing when you're not working?
I'm not working. Well, basketball, fitness is very important to me, so I still keep up my skills, and then I love reading, personally expanding myself, and just keep sharpening myself. And then friend and family time is really important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're an artist as well.
I am. So yes, I do it all. So it just depends on which one I want to jump into that day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, she has some incredible work. And if you send us some of them, we can post them up on the video right now. But these eyes that she draws, I mean, it looks like a photograph was taken. The detail that goes into that is unreal.
Yeah.
How did you get so good at that? Well, I mean, was there inspiration from somebody else? Or just practice?
Well, I'm self-taught, learned from YouTube. I learned a lot of my stuff from YouTube, did basketball that way. And then art was also another avenue I did learn that way as well. But the inspiration behind capturing eyes and they're the window of the soul. I love capturing people's story in the way that you'll find out later when we talk a little bit more about what I do with styling. I love capturing people's messaging, and I would say that eyes really do a good job.
That's
of
awesome.
Expressing those things.
Did you pick up on what she said? She said, I learned that on YouTube, and I learned how to play basketball on YouTube, which is so interesting, which is why having a 19-year-old on here that's an entrepreneur, to where when we were 19, we didn't have access to YouTube.
Yeah.
When we were 19 learning basketball, we're just going out and grinding and, learning the hard way, falling on the pavement. And so learning basketball on YouTube just seems like such a foreign concept. But this is what we have, in the younger generation of access, that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I use YouTube for the same reasons, like to change the thermostat in my vehicle, to fix my HVAC system, to do things around the house. But like Jay Hill said, some of this stuff is like learning on YouTube. We just learn by experience, trials and failures. Going out there and, getting shook, like they used to say back in the day.
People still say that? Get shook?
Not really.
You ever heard of that?
I get the concept, but no, we don't really say that terminology.
Getting your ankles broke. And check it out. He's back there. Just take a small break because
there we go.
There he goes.
Is that a beaver? A groundhog?
I think it's a groundhog.
You see it, Sam?
Yeah. He likes to come in between podcasts, and he takes my focus, and I really have to zone in and ignore him. But he keeps looking at me occasionally. He'll pop up his head.
They're so cute. We said, this is like the 3rd or 4th episode where this guy keeps popping up. So we said the next episode, if this beaver groundhog, whatever it is, pops up, we're going to pause. So sorry to pause and interrupt.
That's all right.
But this is a really big moment for us.
Yeah. No, it's
very
consistent.
big, very big. So I lost my train of thought. Where were we going?
I think we're talking about YouTube and learning.
YouTube
Oh, yeah.
learning.
Oh, you said get shook.
Get shook.
Yes.
Get broken
ankles.
They still use that. Ooh, he got his ankles broke.
I mean, really only in basketball, but that's about it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because, and we talked a little bit pre-show, you know, Eden is a phenomenal basketball player. Jason plays basketball about 3 or 4 times a week every morning. And so he's kind of proud of his game. And, you know, so we're smack talking. There's the potential we could play this week, which I would really love to see. I'd love to see y'all go one-on-one a few, you know, times.
Yeah.
And I put my money on Eden all day.
Sweet.
It's interesting.
Learning from YouTube,
Learning from YouTube.
learning from grinding
Hard
on
knocks.
the pavement, and
Streets.
see what's the outcome.
Street
Yeah.
smart, hard knocks.
Because you said,
What's the best
was your
path?
inspiration learning kind of Steph Curry?
Steph Curry initially, because he's like short. I'm short. I'm like, I need some hope, someone to model after. But it definitely would say like finding somebody, and then YouTube really helped me learn mirroring really well. So that's the way I learned. Awesome.
Explain that.
Like I can see something and I can go and try it because I learn and train myself to like watch something and I've learned it that way. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Okay,
whatnot,
yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
a visual learning
Yes.
capability, right?
Mhm.
That's, when we were talking about school, that is a portion of how some people learn.
Yeah.
Is visual
Mm-hmm.
interpretation. So
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
very important.
100%. Well, Eden, you grew up with, I mean, you still have it, entrepreneurial parents.
Mhm.
You know, you have mom and dad that are, I've seen their hands in so many different things over the
Yeah.
course of their life. A lot of stuff working together, things separately. So, I mean, what is it like, you know, for people that did not have access to entrepreneurial parents, more so people that, you know, dad maybe left the home, mom was taking care of the meals in the house, came home. What was it like having entrepreneurial parents growing up?
Honestly, it was pretty awesome because my parents were home all the time.
Mhm.
And so having that personal connection really taught me the importance of family and relationships. And honestly, I was talking to adults all the time. So growing up, I would
Wow.
say I was friends with more like older people. I just got along better with it because just watching what they do. And again, that mirroring aspect would really help me like just grow my responsibility and seeing how they would handle themselves on a daily basis. They have to show up for themselves, choose it, because no one else is forcing them to.
Right.
So I definitely learned how to be like really resilient when there's like a lot of those up and down seasons, but also really just stay like focused on knowing where you're going. So I definitely am very grateful for that. It was hard because I mean we would have certain nights where you can't talk to your mom, can't talk to dad. They're locked in. They're in the zone. They're in the grind, in the building process. But it still was happy to know that they were a door down if needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Well, I love that. And, you know, when my daughter was, I used to travel a lot for a job. And I always said, when I have kids, you know, that travel is going to stop because I always wanted to be in her life. And even the proximity, you know, to where if you know you're in the same home, there's even something so much better just knowing mom and dad are right down the hall or in the office as opposed to being out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so with that entrepreneurial, you know, upbringing, you started your first business pretty early,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
How old were you? What grade?
I was 7th grade when I started my first official,
7th grade.
yeah, first official thing. So I started pressure washing at a young age just because basketball, again, earlier, I didn't have a normal schedule to accommodate working like a 9-to-5 part-time kind of job like a lot of my other friends were. So it was a really scrappy way to make a good chunk of money when only working like 1 or 2 times a week. So it was definitely flexible, which I really enjoyed. Yeah.
That's incredible. 7th grade, you know, starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
Was what prompted you to start the business? Was this like, hey, I just want some money? Was it mom and dad kind of encouraged me, or growing up in that you saw the opportunity and reached out to them to help you?
Mm-hmm. I would say it was partially their push because they knew the importance of work ethic. I'd only applied that to like sports and my hobbies at the time. And so I wanted to jump in early on. I was homeschooled my 7th grade year. And so I knew it was like, I want to be prepared already as a 7th grade. I'm thinking I want to be prepared for my future, for my life outside of even just college school. And learn a lot of the things that I know they're not going to teach me. So that was a way that I started stewarding that early on. And I would say it set me up really, really well and just kind of helped me gain experience pretty quickly and then learn to handle those ups and downs and really just go for that stuff myself. And just really learn responsibility head on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you have to be creative, especially when you put a lot of attention to sports because they take a lot of time. My son plays football. They're already practicing this summer. Yeah. So, he's limited. So occasionally he would help a friend of mine detail cars because he could do it on off hours and odd hours. And now he actually got a job at a restaurant to where they have very flexible hours. So you have to be pretty creative when it comes to working.
Yeah, you do.
So what was that business, 7th grade?
The pressure washing one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you say that?
She yes.
Did.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh, no, I did. That's all right.
So it's one thing to start a business.
Yes.
It's another thing to promote it and market it. Right. So, what did you do to get your name out there and try to pick up business?
Snipe signs.
Well, my parents are very well known in this area. So I utilized them, had them do some referrals, just because people are really important when getting your name out, especially because I started on ours. That's what I practiced on. And because I delivered good service, I could at least get a good referral from them. And then I went door to door and would just sell myself, learn how to get rejected, how to keep going, tweak myself along the way. Because I would say being able to pivot and monitor yourself instead of just wallowing in oh my word, self-rejection, I guess what could easily take you out, I think is what I'm trying to say. I had to just learn to bounce back really fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say you're more introverted or extroverted?
I'm more introverted. I was extremely, extremely shy. And it was really hard for me to get out of my comfort zone with that. But I am comfortable with adults, which does help. So.
Right. So here you are, introverted. You have your business. I have to walk up. I have to knock on these people's door. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what questions they're going to have or the potential of rejection.
Yeah.
That is a perfect, perfect thing to go into to grow yourself. And so, it's one thing to conceptualize something versus you actually have to go do that. And was it just you at the time or was your brother helping you?
It was just me. He didn't really start helping me till I would say last summer. That's really when I started bringing him on. I did everything pretty much for myself.
Did you invite him in or did he say, hey sis?
I invited him in. Yeah, because I was getting more jobs and I just needed some help and he wanted to learn. Because he's big on sports and loved the flexibility of it as well. So he's just please teach me. Yeah.
So was this a qualifying question? Were you pressure washing homes?
Not houses. No, that's a whole level, different scale. Okay. I was just great with the concrete patios, driveways. That's the only thing I would ever do because I didn't want to invest even more. Right. $50,000 unit a lot of the time to do those things. So I was not worth it. Not going to be my forever thing.
I had a guy come by and he did ours and he used a little handheld pusher for the driveway.
Oh, that round thing?
Yeah, the surface cleaner.
Yeah, and then but he did the house and he just used an extender, a pressure washing extender. He didn't have to use ladders.
Yes.
So you would just spray something on and then rinse it off. And I was like, well, that looks pretty easy.
The technology's changed. When we were growing up, we had the gun.
And you had to climb the ladders.
Bro, you squeeze it and the amount of pressure, like it was a workout. Your arms are shot, your shoulders. Oh my gosh.
Get on a ladder and it's going back.
Right. Yeah, you push it, it throws you back. You're Jesus, keep me.
This is sketchy.
And I don't know about you, but seeing a finished product like that, pressure washing is one of the most satisfying things to me.
Oh, yeah.
When you have a dirty, driveway and you just go shh and see it.
Very rewarding. And being an artist, it was reverse painting.
Exactly.
So I loved it.
I like
that.
That's the way I thought of it. So I'm this works. And I'm very detail oriented.
Yeah,
so doing both of those, it just complimented.
I think it's a creative outlet. It's therapeutic. Honestly, I love it.
Yeah.
Now your brand is exclusively Eden.
Yes.
Right. And that was the one that was created in 7th grade as well. How did you I'm assuming you're about 12 years old at 7th grade.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13 years old, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you even create a brand?
Well, that was more like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had the name, I had somewhat of a concept, but it's just, again, I don't know when the timing of something's going to work out. And so honestly, that wasn't something that came to fruition like, oh my word, I get why we have this brand name now, until probably about 2 years ago when I really started going full force into the styling and the fashion stuff and really helping people build their personal branding image. And a lot of the one-on-one clients I have in Nashville here, and just creating better presentation for them on stages and the way that they look. So yeah, that didn't really come to fruition until then. So I held on to that for like 5 years after. So.
Okay. And I mean, your mom is, I mean, when I think of branding, like your mom just pops in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's kind of the epitome of a good brand if you know her.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you had access to such an incredible resource, you know, that I'm assuming she's helping you along the way and bouncing things off. So are y'all like, dinner time, you know, with family? I mean, you're talking about business all day long?
The ideas never stop. And that is what I love, because it's just a continuous conversation. Like, we never stop having ideas. It's made it really fun dynamic because she's such a visionary and so am I. So it just kind of gets our creative juices flowing, like always. And I really enjoy it, constantly having those conversations. So yeah.
Remind me, so they play this board game. You know what I'm talking about? Is it Rich?
What's it called?
You know,
it's Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow.
Cash Flow.
Yes.
Right. Y'all play. Explain this game.
Okay, this game
is so cool, dude.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna like butcher the way to explain it.
Sorry, nobody knows.
But it basically teaches you how to get out of what he calls the rat race, which is the 9-to-5 cycle, never getting on top of expensive, creating passive income. And so you have to work with whatever cards you're dealt, like whatever job you get, the income, and the amount of expenses. You have to learn how to balance it out with rental property, stocks, all those things. So it really teaches you how to get out of that system that like a lot of people fall under and just like work paycheck to paycheck. So yeah. It's awesome. It's
such a cool game, dude. Like we're going to drop a picture of this game, you know, on this video. But I mean, most of us, I mean, we grew up with just stuff that was just these games that are just, they're not stimulating to your mind. They're not, you know, anything other than like what that game is focused on, really growing you to think of these things. I mean, cash flow is so important and so relevant for your future. Y'all still play that today, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that was a pretty recent one. My aunt gave it to us, so
really?
She did awesome, getting us a good Christmas gift. Yeah,
I mean, I think your parents invited us over to play Cash Flow one time. We're trying to schedule a date for that.
Oh yeah, definitely do it.
That's so awesome. So you mentioned a second ago, you know, more of your business stuff, like becoming a stylist, like style guy for people. I mean, what is that you're working on?
So that more so has been understanding, like I really help people dial into their personal message, which is it's like creating a brand identity like you do on the internet, like the visuals, the graphics, the photos. I do it like visually, like in person with clothes, because they have it's a whole different form of communication, and you're kind of like a walking billboard for your brand. And so I want to help people truly come in line with what that looks like. So that's some of it. I don't know if that answers.
To date, how many people have you worked with in this profession?
I would say 20 or so.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
So not like skyrocketing numbers, but it's like experience.
No,
and I'm grateful for each
100%.
one. Yeah,
that is awesome.
That's fantastic.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
and is there a particular like niche that you've seen, even with that amount? Like when they come to you, is there something that you've identified, like a common thread?
It's the people. I love working with the people that are like kind of got that boss CEO energy already. They just do not know how to carry that over into their style.
Was that your mom?
That was my mom. So my mom, oh yes, I practiced on her.
Right.
Yeah, like this also started in
so
7th grade. I don't know why this all started in 7th grade for me.
So
but
cool.
like I started she was kind of like my test dummy. I just got to learn what works, what helps bring someone to life, and like learning how to quickly adjust and pivot. So I just threw myself into researching different things around clothes, around women. And it just was a really, I don't know, I lost my train of thought.
Well, it's just the common thread. You said lost vibes. And
yes. So it's like this woman who has got she wants more confidence, and clothes are kind of the way that bring that out into life, because she is confident in what she does. She's confident, like, with capabilities, whatever skill set she is. I just need to help someone portray that, like, out in the world. So that's kind of what I help make congruent. So
This, I always heard, I mean, growing up, I mean, I just kind of dismissed it. It talked about the clothes you wear. And when you go, and I'm like, that's not a big deal. But it truly is. And even your brand, like Jason, typically, he's not in a t-shirt, right? He's in a tank top and a backwards hat. And that's his brand. And so when you think of a person, when you say their name, you immediately think of their looks. You think of the emotions that they evoke, kind of a thing. And I was speaking last year at an event, and I wore, these white sneakers. I had a suit on, no tie, white sneakers with no socks, right? Or the no-shows.
Yeah.
And so I'm speaking to an audience like 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, so my style is not their style. And, at the end of that, I remember I had a number of people that came up. They said, great talk, this and that. I won't really remember everything you said, but I will remember, you were the guy with white shoes and no socks and a suit. And it was like I made an imprint just on my clothes, just on my attire. And, it doesn't matter if somebody likes it or not. It was like I felt confident in what I was wearing. I felt good in what I was wearing. And somebody's going to remember that, hey, I don't remember that guy. The emotions were good, but he was wearing a suit, white shoes, and no socks.
Yeah.
And you could play off that. He probably sent a follow-up email. Hey, the guy with white shoes and no socks.
My profile picture is just ankles with white shoes and no socks.
Yes, they're like, oh, and we know you by that ankle.
I need to get that handle at white shoes with no socks. No, you're absolutely right. And because there's an anchor like that. Like if I send an email, it's like, hey, we met in Vegas, this and that, blah, blah, blah. People are like, I don't remember that guy. Hey, remember I was on stage this night? Yeah. Immediately. And so I think that's really cool. And your mom, I bring her up. I wasn't calling her out like she didn't have style.
Yeah.
She shared that with us. She was like, Eden has just walked me through this. And,
absolutely.
Jenny Ray, your mom is really good at what she does. And she admitted, she's like, hey, I didn't know this. And you can watch her transformation like over the past year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, if you've seen my mom, Jenny Ray's brand, it's like she's known for her signature pink heels and like these signature pieces that you can see again and again. And that's like what my branding is all about, like finding that thing that makes you exclusive, that makes you come to life, because it's going to look different for each person. Right. And I'd say like the way that people do with graphics and other things like that, like I have to find that unique original thing that you're going to carry wherever you go and like walk in this level of empowerment, like in any stage or place you go to. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So what is your brand? You talk about your mom's signature pink. Like, are there things that you're known for with your brand?
Well, it's working on it. Everyone knows me by the black, white, and red. Like that's all mainly what I wear. And then I'm known for wearing very bold pieces. And like I just started practicing it, doing it down the halls of high school, because that's what was my confidence booster, helped me push through a lot of anxiety that we get to in a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, I just got to practice wearing like really neon, like loud things, because it helped me feel a different way and pull me out of that kind of darker place with it. So
let's go there.
Yeah.
I mean, when did anxiety start? What was the cause of that?
The cause of that was when my life kind of fell apart with my parents' divorce starting. They separated. It was a 1.5 year time period, but very early on to their separation, I super head on basketball. Like I've said, I tore my ACL, and that I realized is where I got a lot of my identity from. So I'm like, I don't have family anymore. I don't have identity. Everyone knows us as the perfect entrepreneur. Everything's okay. And none of it is anymore. So I started really spiraling, especially when COVID and masks came around. Like I was super lonely, wrestled with this idea of like not being seen anymore, because we're all covering up. We're all staying inside and isolated. So it just really took me back, like did not help any of my shyness anymore. So I was like crazy insecure. And it just took me down a dark road that I did not enjoy.
I mean, that's a lot to experience,
Mhm.
you know, at once.
Yeah.
You know, to identify my identity was in basketball,
Mhm.
basketball player, because you had hopes to be a Division I athlete
Yeah.
in basketball, right?
Mhm.
Wherever that took you. So now that dream is gone.
Hmm.
And then, you know, most important people in your life, you're watching, you know, fall apart
Yeah.
in your own family. What was it like? How did you get through that anxiety and that dark time in your life?
A lot of it came from grounding. I'm a very future oriented thinker. And so finding something outside of myself, like I needed something to aim for. My mom says in her business that the woman that you need, like the future you want, depends on the woman you have to create and become today. So having that greater vision of knowing what I was aiming for, but then taking it one day at a time, because I didn't know what tomorrow held. And I was so used to just living from this place of the future. It really grounded me in what was happening here and now, and just how I wanted to show up in each day, each moment. And yeah, it definitely helped bring a lot of those levels down and change my relationship to fear.
Yeah, that's really good. And for the people, you said when the divorce started, so for the listeners, the marriage actually made it. And
Oh, yes.
So, you know, which we all celebrate, you know, but I mean, I know your parents well, and
Mhm.
divorce papers were signed and they did the work and,
Yeah.
you know, got through it. And so you have, you know, family there with your parents. How did that impact you, you know, seeing what they were going through, and then to overcome that, to do the work and stay together? Like, did that help you, or are there just other emotions that you're having to process through in the midst of the anxiety you're struggling with?
Yeah, I think at first it was really hard because I knew about the divorce papers being signed. Like, it was a done deal. And I think when I had grieved the loss, like, okay, they're not going to be together, it was like, you know what? We're actually dating again. It was like, definitely took me back. And I think it was the only
Sure.
time in my life when I didn't actually talk to my mom for like 2 weeks. But after we worked through it, I am extremely, extremely grateful. And just, they have a character that is congruent with how they worked. Like the way they show up together is what I saw growing up. Like, they do not give up. They do not quit. And so seeing that in their relationship again, just like kind of restored their image in my eyes a little bit, and just gave me hope that there could be more, because I'd only seen it in that category of work and being really good at what they did. And so just seeing the way that they both fought for relationship was really impactful and really important to me. So
I think your dad tattooed his forearm with
Yeah, he
do
did.
whatever it takes, right?
do whatever it takes, which is pretty awesome. And then they has the date that they got remarried.
I love that.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I think it just shows you that reconciliation is always on the table.
Mhm.
Right? So that's definitely something that you should look at and be like, wow, you know, always have that, I don't know, that favor, right? That
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hope. I guess that's a good word. Hope, faith.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
you know, in the middle of the storm, it seems like life is over sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, all of us have gone through stuff. All of us will continue to go through stuff our whole life. You know, I heard it said once, you know, you're either coming into a storm, you're in the storm, you're coming out of the storm. Like,
Yeah.
those are the three phases of life. So when things seem calm, you know, hey, you know, something's coming. And but the beauty in it is that your perspective, if you allow yourself to learn from it, you know, the muscle you can build through the darkest times in your life will set the trajectory for the rest of your life. And so your parents they have that attitude of, we're willing to do whatever it takes, kind of a thing. And, you know, you and Asher, knowing you both, I mean, y'all are amazing, you know, and I think that's such a reflection on parenting. And it's like, we don't have to have everything together, you know.
Yes.
It's like, you got to experience the suck. You got to experience the bad
Yeah.
stuff. And it's okay. You didn't talk to mom for 2 weeks. She's an adult. She's okay.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I mean, you did what you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. You know, so going back to your business. So, I mean, you've been doing business your whole life, but you're also in college currently.
Yes.
And, you know, so often, so I went to college, but I had no direction. It was just, hey, it's what you do. So I went there, got a degree, and figured, I'd land somewhere in a bank. I thought I was going to be a banker.
You look like a banker.
For what? I could be
you
a banker.
could.
I was actually a
You're
teller.
very organized
I
and
am.
on it. I could see it.
I could
It
totally.
works.
You were a teller?
So good segue. Bring me back to this in a second.
Okay.
I will lose my train of thought. I was my first summer of college. I came back home and was a teller, and I couldn't stand it. It was kind of like you going door to door.
Yeah.
I didn't like dealing with people, and just like I want to put me in my hole. I don't want to have to talk to people. The first day on that job, I was going to do my report at the end of the day with how much money was brought in and out. My report showed that I lost $10,000. And I was just like, they were like, Jonathan, where's this $10,000? I'm
How
like,
does that even happen?
18. All right. I'm 18 years old, like terrified. I think I'm crying, and I had this lady I worked with, Roz. She loved me to death. And she said, Jonathan, it's going to be okay. We're going to find that 10 grand. And I'm just weeping. I'm going to get fired. And it was like a simple mistake. Like I did a cash in instead of a cash out kind of a thing. And but I was terrified. So I did not like banking. So, all right, there's our sidetrack. I looked like a banker. I was a banker to an extent. But, so where I was going with that was that you're a college student as well as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And most people kind of when they get to the end of high school, they either go, I'm going to create a business and go into that and I don't need college, or I'm going to go to college and get a job from that. So why are you doing both?
Doing both because, the season I'm at, so it's where I didn't want to give up the stability that my family kind of just got back. I wanted to spend time with them even more so. So I didn't want to uproot and leave right away. And then knowing, because I'd practiced the whole, I'm doing online college. I picked only online classes so I could work. I've done that work, school balance, and I knew I was capable of doing it. And I am really focused these next 2 years to get my exclusively Eden brand even more solidified, and stepping a little bit more away from the pressure washing because that's just kind of been able to support it. But I just knew my intention in that. I was going to be very intentional this next 2 years. So,
gotcha. So you have plans with getting that degree, where it's going to take you to next. Like I think you said earlier, once you have this degree, it's required for some of the things that you want to tap into.
Yes. So I'm very interested in investment, and Robert Kiyosaki's definitely helped expand my world.
Yeah.
And I'm I want to get into the real estate stuff. So I knew you need an associate's degree at least to do a lot of those things. And I think I may be off on it, but getting a broker's license, something along those lines. And I'm okay, I didn't want to go to school in all honesty. I just wanted to go straight into work, but I will sacrifice some of that and go do both at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, because I always, when I think about college, I tell people if I could do it again, I would not have gone to college. And we had an interview recently. Are you familiar with Acton Academy?
Acton Academy. I think so.
And so it's like a school, elementary, middle, and high school, but they don't call themselves teachers. They're a guide. They allow the students to deliberate together, to debate together, and it's really entrepreneurial focused. So most of the kids that go to this, their parents are entrepreneurs, and these kids come out of it. And some of them go into corporate world, they go to college. Some of them, they're taught how to run a business. You already did this in 7th grade. But just hearing these things, like Jason and I at our age, our ripe old age, we
35.
What?
Of 35.
Of 35, which, all right, another side tangent. When she beats you at basketball, is that wrong because you're so old? He's not 35, he's 44. She can break the ankles of an old man, of a grandpa.
I don't know.
I can pull the woman card.
Oh, yes, exactly. Well, it's kind of when Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, is that who it was? They were going to fight.
Oh yeah, the boxing thing.
Right.
Yes.
And I saw this image, a meme or whatever. It said Jake Paul, if you lose to a 60-year-old man. If you win, you beat up a 60-year-old man.
It's not a win-win situation.
That's a good point. Exactly.
I don't know. I saw Mike training though, and it's
the fight got called off.
Yeah. I was wow. I was gonna enjoy that.
I don't know how I brought us over here.
I have no
I don't know
idea where you're
either.
going.
How did that
Oh,
happen?
the basketball. You know,
Oh,
yes.
What were we talking about before then, though?
I don't know
Why
where
did I
you
go
were
there?
going. I don't know.
I talking about college.
Unlock next level confidence. Let's talk about eating, exclusively eating. What is next? What's next in the pipeline?
Well,
What is going on?
Well, no, I want to bring. But before we go there, you talked about like the impact of social media on young business owners and entrepreneurs. And I mean, not to go back to the anxiety, but like with your business, you know, you grew up on social media.
yeah.
I mean, you have access to this, and it can cause comparison or imposter syndrome. You know, all this stuff. Jason and I didn't grow up with social media or have YouTube or have any of that stuff. And so, I mean, just walk us through your experience, like with, you know, up and coming business owner and launching these things, and how social media affects that.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
I would definitely say it's opened up your world a lot, which is like the pro of it, but the con has been how much, yes, that comparison gets in the way of like you're constantly, it's in your face 24/7 of like what you need to be, what you need to where to go, all these people who look really successful, and it's all curated, it's very inauthentic, and not even just reality. And so it's not easy, even though it's like you're aware of like, okay, it's not real, they're not putting their real life, what's happening behind the scenes out there. But at the same time, it's like, I do want that level of influence, or I do want a platform, and all these things you think you need to be successful, it's like out there all the time. So that is extremely difficult, and especially in the sense too, like when you see it all the time. For me, I've really wrestled with not wanting to start something because my market seems super saturated. Everything's already been done. What more could I even add? So there's no reason to even start anyway. So I have to constantly fight that I'm not behind, that feeling of like, I should have started sooner. I'm not doing enough each day. And it really keeps me in this downward spiral if I'm not careful. So I constantly have to reiterate and keep myself at a higher place of like, I can't fall into that because it's just a trap. Yeah. And
I mean, is social media big for your business though?
Yeah, so going with the direction of digital marketing, or my digital course, I have to play into that game a little bit. So it's knowing some of the tactics and the things that keep me on track. And the ways that I get out of those downward spirals is by asking myself questions like, how could I be more prepared, and other things like that, just to pull me back into a better mindset and headspace. To keep me, I guess, to keep me above ground. I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry, maybe ask your question one more time.
I don't even remember what my question was.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the influence of social media. How do you?
I know it's the influence.
Oh, I had asked you how you're leveraging social media for your business.
Oh yeah, well, it's in all marketing. Like that's the way you get it out.
Right.
So it's yeah. I was going back to like, I have to resist the constant pull of what could happen each day with it.
And I mean, I don't think that's normal. I think even as adults, I mean, my wife, you know, I know she struggles with it. It's everybody puts up their highlight reels, right?
That's right.
It's not real life. And then you have, you know, young kids now, you know, renting car pics and renting jet photos and just posting pics of when they're on vacation in a you know, a curated mix, so it looks like this amazing, you know, overnight success. So it's you got to constantly, you know, decipher, you know, what's really success.
And because that's like super obvious and out there, like we do know it's like
absolutely
overnight success, like people are doing these things in order to look a certain way. I will say that is one helpful thing in my brand of like, these ladies are going out there like portraying a certain image and they feel like such an imposter, like this is not even them. So that's where I love getting to come and help get really specific on what it is that they want to communicate, not what everyone else wants them to communicate, because I've struggled with that so much. So I would say it's like turning pain into profit, into something that would help with purpose and help someone else. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, and I heard a quote one time talking about overnight success. It said it takes 15 years to become an overnight success. It takes 15 years to become an overnight success. Because there's reality and perception of reality, and social media is perception of reality.
Yeah.
You can look on it. I can make myself look so good. I can make my brand and my business look like we're a multi-million-dollar brand based on how I build my website, how I build my social media, kind of a thing. And you had shared prior to us filming, just talking about, the perception of seeing that, and you had the opportunity of seeing mom and dad, seeing these entrepreneurs on the daily life working. You saw the real things that went into business. So you're kind of able to see through the BS when you look online, like, this isn't authentic. This is not true, because you understand what it takes. And, I'm just looking at the notes you had shared with us. And so you said it was an amazing reminder that the business you want will take time to create and develop.
Yeah.
Because as you're mentioning, I hear you saying, constantly feeling behind and this and that. But when you anchor back to that, hey, these things take time. Can't be an overnight success. If I'm constantly on social media, it's easy to get into that rat wheel. I have to do this. I have to be on. I have to post this amount. I have to stay up. I have to do all this work. It's going to burn you out and leave you tired, frustrated, and exhausted.
Yeah. And I think because seeing behind the scenes of both my parents' business, the nitty gritty, all the ups and downs with that, plus the relational side too, like knowing how important both of those are and that both of those are going to take time, and I'm not willing to do anything at an expense of either one, because I'm going to learn how to do relationship and I'm going to learn how to do business. That's been a really important reality check too, of just like, okay, I can take it one day at a time, and I'm okay if this took 5 years. I would like to do it quicker than that, but I'm okay with that too. Like, just knowing like it's not going to be that automatic right away thing that feeling of being behind constantly tries to tell me. Yeah,
absolutely. So what is the daily life of Eden? And so with college, with your businesses, what does a normal day look like for you?
Oh gosh. It's very much ever changing. There's always working out. There's always connecting with people. I try to keep up with my past clients, and then work. I've been in a very much creation building process, because I started working on this digital product in probably December of last year after going to Eileen Weiler's workshop, which was super awesome, helping me develop it. And then constantly having conversation ever since with my mom and my dad every day, and just tweaking the brand and the languaging. That's kind of been where I've been at. So is that more what you've been?
Totally. And you have an online course?
Yes.
Like, did you just teach yourself how to build that?
Yeah. Thankfully, my mom kind of was the guinea pig, learned a lot of that stuff. So I just had her do a couple breakdowns, and then taught me some of the inner working, and then I just kind of picked up and run with it. And then that workshop too I was talking about, I got the privilege to go out with her, so I learned a lot of her process as well and applied it.
And her events, like the Rise events, you go and you help with those events.
I'm the behind the scenes, so I help do all the event concierge and then the management behind the scenes, so all the pick up and put off, and then really working on connecting and picking up the conversation.
Yeah, I've heard a theme. We had another guest, and as you shared when you were younger, just being around adults constantly. We had another guest that talked about bringing his kids in and just being around adults. Like I've heard a theme with that, and how important that is. Because with kids, we kind of baby talk them. I don't think we give kids enough credit. And you hear stories like Eden, 7th grade, launching these things, building a brand, going around it. But if we bring them in to be around people that are actually doing it, there's no telling how young, how early you can launch these things.
No ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
No ceiling.
No ceiling.
Yeah.
No ceiling. So if Eden, if our people that are listening here, you want to drive them to a website, or how they can follow along.
Yeah. So my product is just closetconfidencesystem.com. And then my social, best place to connect with me, DM me, is on Instagram. And that's just exclusively _Eden. So
exclusively _Eden.
Mm-hmm. And those are kind of the two main places.
Well, awesome. Yeah. Well, this has been so fun chatting with you and hearing a little bit about your story. We're cheering you on, championing you on. I see bright things ahead for you. Congratulations for where you are. And we'll drop in the show notes on this episode as well, your website and that handle. hopefully drive some traffic your way.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Super grateful for this. So yeah, appreciate it.
No,
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Eden.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
Yeah.
Look
Peace.
forward.
Thanks for listening and joining us on the Love Your Brand podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode, and remember, share the love.